construction crew packed up their scaffolding. The coffee cart folded its little table. I'm still at the window with 17 sources, 3 cold cups between me and a deadline. The traffic light blinks for no one now. I don't need an audience for this. Funny how the city always knows when to leave me with the deep part. When the street goes quiet, the words come out right. I've been saving this pocket of night. Nobody's asking for my answer yet. The lamplight holds the room without regret. When the street goes quiet, I'm the kind of brave I've always meant to be. The neighbor's dog declared a ceasefire at 10. The delivery app stopped their ding. My argument found its missing sentence. The thesis discovered its missing ring. I wrote the line I'd been circling for weeks. The way you say a name you're shy to say. Funny how the loudest thoughts arrive when everything outside stands still. And the street goes quiet, the words come out right. I've been saving this pocket of night. Nobody's asking for my answer yet. The lamplight holds the room without regret. When the street goes quiet, something in me finally speaks. They say a genius needs some kind of fire. I think it mostly needs the right amount of quiet. 4 a.m. we'll close the door on tomorrow. Tonight I go as long as I can keep the light. When the street goes quiet, I'll be right here, right here. The last customer took her coat and left at 4:15. I wrote the time down in the margin like a clue. The barista dimmed the overhead to something golden, and soft light pooled on every table but the 2. I always find the table by the window with the scratched leg, the one that catches afternoon before it goes. Something about the way the empty tables hold the light makes every unsaid thing feel right to try. Soft light on empty tables, the kind that asks for nothing. I'm writing sentences I couldn't finish in the crowd. The chairs are all pushed in like they've decided to be patient. I'm learning how to want a smaller loud. Soft light on empty tables, October, the notebook open like a question I almost forgot. December came and put its hand on all the windows. By January, that corner table was reserved for snow. I found my manuscripts filed under, waiting for the season, and came back when the afternoon stopped letting go. I know the chairs by their complaints, the scuff on table 7, the ring my mug left in September still. There is a grammar to the light that falls at 5, that tells me what I'm good enough to write. Soft light on empty tables, the kind that asked for nothing. I'm writing sentences I couldn't finish in the crowd. The chairs are all pushed in like they've decided to be patient. I'm learning how to want a smaller loud. Soft light on empty tables, late October. Turns out this is exactly where I've meant to be. I thought I needed an audience to matter, but the empty room turned out to be the witness I require. The light that falls this way on nobody's notebook has been here since before I was afraid of it. Table 3 was never waiting to be chosen. I was just finally the right amount of quiet. Soft light on empty tables, still here, still warm. The billboard across the street stopped selling me things around 9. The sirens have their own appointments now. I make mine with a desk lamp and a page I've been putting off. My neighbor's television is the loudest sound. This used to feel like failing some exam I didn't take, but now it reads more like a table for one. The city hasn't noticed that I stepped aside. I'm still here, just lower than the noise. After the city stops listening, I write what I actually mean. Not the summary, but the whole long, complicated scene. The pen says things my voice has been saving for a room that's small enough to hear. After the city stops listening, I remember why I came back here. By 11, the delivery apps had lost their urgency. The ding 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 below my window finally learned to rest. I been circling for 3 weeks, sitting right there between the footnote and the rest. Some things you can't write while the world is asking questions. Some things wait politely for the dark. The city doesn't need to give me its permission. I took this hour when I started writing back. After the city stops listening, I write what I actually mean. Not the summary, but the whole long, complicated scene. The pen says things my voice has been saving for a room that's small enough to hear. After the city stops listening, I find the sentence that was mine all year. I've been waiting for the right amount of quiet, but quiet is just loud things agreeing to behave. There's always a refrigerator, always a radiator, always me and all the words I've been afraid to save. The city doesn't stop so much as soften. That's when I find out what I meant to say. After the city stops listening, the page opens wider here. I started 7 things today and finished 2. Which one of those is winning, I still don't know. I left the dishes and I opened something else and told myself I'd circle back, but didn't go. My phone knows more about my failure rate than I do. It's logged every time I said tomorrow and meant it. Someone taught me that unfinished means you tried. I'm choosing to believe them just tonight. A song for unfinished days. I'll sing the whole thing low. For every list I never crossed off, every word I let go. I'm not behind, I'm building something slow that doesn't look like progress yet, but God, I hope it shows. A song for unfinished days. The lamp is on, I'm still here and I'll pick it up again come dawn. The essay has a title and a kind of ending. I wrote the middle twice and called the first draft brave. My notebook has a page that's just a heading of something I was going to be but couldn't save. I ate the last of the cereal standing at the counter. Some days the bowl and the thought arrive the same way. I'm not the version of myself I planned, but I showed up and I think that was the plan. A song for unfinished days. I'll sing the whole thing low. For every list I never crossed off, every word I let go. I'm not behind, I'm building something slow that doesn't look like progress yet, but God, I hope it shows. A song for unfinished something finished got started in here. There's a version of me who completes everything. She's very efficient and slightly less interesting. The unfinished parts are where I'm still deciding who I want to be when it's time to know. Not every question needs today as its answer. Some of them are doing better just being asked. A song for unfinished days. Still counting, still here. My heart does its thing without asking my opinion, which I guess is lucky given what I choose. There's a space between each beat that's just under a second, long enough to be a different kind of news. I did the math on it once at 3 in the morning, when panic felt like a second heartbeat moving in. The body has a rhythm it doesn't explain. I'm learning to sit next to it again. The quiet between heartbeats is where I keep my things. The unread chapters, the half-articulated anything. It's not dramatic, just anatomical and brief. A pause between the waves, not a reef. The quiet between heartbeats. I've been living there without knowing it had a name. I try to measure what it's worth to stay still for an hour with a book that promised something about peace. The house made its usual argument with the radiator, and I conceded, turned another page at least. I think I've confused anxiety with urgency. They're cousins, but they're not the same address. The space inside a second is more livable than I thought. I'm reporting this from experience, not theory. The quiet between heartbeats is where I keep my things. The unread chapters, the half-articulated anything. It's not dramatic, just anatomical and brief. A pause between the waves, not a reef. The quiet between heartbeats. Turns out it's big enough. I used to want the kind of quiet that means nothing's wrong, but that quiet doesn't really exist on this planet. The best I've found is a quiet that holds the wrong things lightly and lets me be unremarkable for a minute. The heart keeps its schedule, the blood keeps its word. I'm just finding out what it means to have been here. The quiet between heartbeats. I live there too. platform emptied at 4:15 and left me with my bag and the departure board. The numbers blinked and settled into waiting, the kind of waiting that has no reward. I found the bench that faces outward toward the field and opened something I'd been carrying for weeks. An hour isn't long enough to be anywhere, but it's long enough to finally be here. The hour between trains, the world holds its breath. The fields go on past where the platform ends. I write a paragraph in the kind of light that only comes in gaps between the scheduled life. The hour between trains, I've been spending this time wrong until today. By 4:30, the field had changed its color from the kind of green that asks you to decide to something that just sits beside the matter and lets the afternoon be on your side. The freight train passed without a single word for me, which suited us both. I've been in transit so long I forgot this counted as somewhere. The hour between trains, the world holds its breath. The fields go on past where the platform ends. I write a paragraph in the kind of light that only comes in gaps between the scheduled life. The hour between trains, I finally found the right way to stay. I used to resent the gaps between the things I planned, as if time only counted when it had an itinerary. But the field doesn't apologize for not being a destination. The bench doesn't ask me what I came to do. This hour isn't borrowed from the useful hours. It's the useful hour, just dressed differently than I expected. The hour between trains, the field goes on. The board blinks 5:13. The delivery scooters filed their last report at 8. The construction crane has called it for the night. My coffee shop stopped counting tables like a verdict and let the menu just be ambient and bright. Somebody's dog declared the urgent barking over. The block agreed and settled into gray. Funny how the city was performing this whole time, and now it's just the background of itself. When the city breathes slower, I can hear the sentences I've been rehearsing in my head since noon. The notes fall into place without a rush to finish. Something opened in the evening room. When the city breathes slower, I stop translating everything into the word emergency. place 2 blocks away turned off its jingle. The gym above the pharmacy went quiet after 10. I counted 14 kinds of artificial silence before I found the one that felt like mine back then. The street sweeper passed like something wrote a sentence in a language I've been trying to read all year. The city didn't do this on my schedule. It just happened and I happened to be here. When the city breathes slower, I can hear the sentences I've been rehearsing in my head since noon. The notes fall into place without a rush to finish. Something opened in the evening room. When the city breathes slower, I write the thing I've been meaning to write. I've been waiting for inspiration like it's a package with a tracking number and a 1 hour window. Turns out the city was breathing my breath all along, and I just needed to stop outpacing it. The evening has a specific frequency I recognize now. The note right below the loudest noise I'm done with. When the city breathes slower, I breathe too, in the right key. November 12th, 11 at night, I found the corner I had turned. Back in April with a different kind of urgency. The ink I'd underlined back then was something I had learned about a girl who made a choice that wasn't hurting anybody. I read it back at my November desk and understood it for the first October time. Speed isn't the point of this particular chapter. Some sentences take a season to arrive. The page you turn slowly holds the thing you almost skipped. The part the reader in a hurry never gets. A sentence in the middle that rewrites the ones before it. I'm learning how to earn the ones that follow. The page you turn slowly, you were right to wait. Some truths don't fit inside the pace the plot suggests. By February I had given the book away, but kept the line I'd written in the margin in my notes. The person that I lent it to sent back a photograph of her own note beside the same 2 lines in quotes. She said she'd read it 6 times since December. The 7th time was when it finally said her name. There is a reading of a page that can't be rushed. It needs the room to arrive at its own speed. The page you turn slowly holds the thing you almost sentence in the middle that rewrites the ones before it. I'm learning how to earn the ones that follow. The page you turn slowly turned out to be the chapter I was meant for. I've been in a hurry my whole reading life, racing pages like the ending might expire. But the book was waiting for me to slow down enough to notice what was happening before the fire. April's urgency and November's desk are the same page, finally in the same light. The page you turn slowly still holds the sentence right here. I didn't recognize the room until the third week, when the afternoon came in the way it does in May. My shoulders dropped without a conversation, and something I'd been holding put itself away. I tried 3 different chairs before I found the angle where the light comes in without demanding I perform. Some rooms are just 4 walls and a complaint, and some rooms are the reason you came home. The room where I breathe again late afternoon, the kind of room that doesn't ask what's wrong. I keep my books there, the ones with broken spines, and the plant that survived despite the year it had. The room where I breathed again. I keep coming back the way you keep a promise to yourself. By June, the plant had 2 new leaves and a rumor of a flower. I'd finished something I'd been scared to start. The afternoon still comes in through the same impractical window, but now we're friends, the window and the art. I've hosted arguments in here and grief and the occasional decision, and every time the room absorbed it without judgment. I understand the value now of a room that holds its quiet without expecting something back. The room where I breathe again late afternoon, the kind of room that doesn't ask what's wrong. I keep my books there, the ones with broken spines, and the plant that survived despite the year it had. The room where I breathed again. I keep a chair there, just the right amount of warm. A room isn't neutral if you've healed inside it. It becomes the specific address of a specific year. I've looked at enough rooms to know the difference between a place you're staying and a place you're building. This one had a window and a plant and a lamp, and the afternoon's permission to be less afraid. The room where I breathe again, still here. The lamp still on. the calendar since forever. It always wins and I always apologize. But this semester something changed, or I just stopped negotiating from a place of constant surprise. I put one thing on the list and said that's it for Tuesday, and meant it, which is new. I think the deal was always there, I just kept signing the wrong version. A gentle contract with time. I'm signing my name, progress, not perfection, which is harder to explain. 1 hour, one task, one sip of whatever this is. I'm here, I'm staying, and I'm done apologizing. A gentle contract with time. It turns out time was never really fighting me. By Wednesday, I had made it through the reading, which is more than I can say for a lot of weeks. My notes are shorter, but they're actually in full sentences, which is kinda the point, I think. The tea I made sat warmly on my notebook cover. I left it there and kept on going. I renegotiate constantly, that's not a flaw. It just means I'm paying attention to the terms. A gentle contract with time. I'm signing my name, progress, not perfection, which is harder to explain. 1 hour, one task, one sip of whatever this is. I'm here, I'm staying, and I'm done apologizing. A gentle contract with time. We're getting along better than before. The reason I keep losing to my own schedule is that I wrote the schedule like someone else lives here. Someone more organized, less distracted by the window, less interested in the sound the radiator makes. I'm trying a new version of the contract that actually accounts for who I am. On Tuesdays, a gentle contract with time. Both parties present, both okay. They didn't announce it. The music just sort of gave up on being interesting around 2:30. I looked up from a paragraph I'd been reading for 12 minutes without retaining it, which I thought you'd want to know. The room had been the same the whole time, but the soundtrack decided to stop pretending. I'm not sure the music knows that I can hear it better now, but I know, and that seems like enough. The hour the music softens, I notice what's actually here. The couple by the door who've been having the same conversation. The barista writing something on the steam wand, taking her time. The window in the street and a sparrow making claims. The hour the music softens, I start reading the paragraph for the 13th time, and it works. By 4 the playlist had gone full acoustic, which honestly was an improvement for my concentration. I finished what I came to do and sat a while, with the receipt from my coffee like a contract. The sparrow from before had found a different window. The couple had agreed on something, apparently. I didn't come here for the epiphany. The epiphany came because the volume dropped. The hour the music softens, I notice what's actually here. The couple by the door who've been having the same conversation. The barista writing something on the steam wand, taking her time. The window and the street and a sparrow making claims. The hour the music softens, I find out what I was going to think about all day. I've spent a lot of hours in places with music, using the noise to avoid the inside of my head. But this is different. The softening is different, like the room is giving me a little more credit. I'm not hiding from anything, I'm just here, reading a paragraph and hearing the sparrow, and that's the whole thing. The hour the music softens, the sparrow and the steam on the paragraph. The train picked up the silence at the last station, the way it picks up freight without an announcement. I've been carrying a kind of noise inside me since a conversation I won't get into now. It set it down beside my seat like something necessary, and we rode together, me and the absence. The window held the darkening countryside, specifically the part that wasn't saying anything. The train that carried silence rolling past the 6 o'clock. I stopped rehearsing what I meant to say last week. Just the cello of the tracks and the fields deciding gray, and the carriage in the absence and the dark. The train that carried silence delivered something I had not expected, which was rest. fast growth. The fields went from amber to committed dark. I'd finished nothing in my bag except the thinking, which took longer than I thought but felt more permanent than the paragraph I'd been avoiding linking. My reflection in the window looked like someone who had decided not to be in a hurry about the answer. The train doesn't ask you what you're going home to, it just takes you there with the silence aboard. The train that carried silence rolling past the 6 o'clock. I stopped rehearsing what I meant to say last week. Just the cello of the tracks and the fields deciding gray, and the carriage and the absence and the dark. The train that carried silence. And when we arrived, I left it on the platform. I've taken this line through every kind of weather, and in every kind of weather it looked like this. The fields are honest, the way fields are honest, about not being anything other than themselves. The silence the train carries isn't emptiness, it's the specific weight of a day that's been released. The train that carried silence, the fields going past. The window. The weekend crowd left Tuesday with its own agenda. Nobody here is performing for the shelves. I'm the second customer today, which I know because I counted at the door and asked myself. The clerk is alphabetizing something in the back. Her pen clicking is the building's heartbeat right now. There's a version of this city where this is always open, and I'm always the second customer. Bookshop silence on weekdays, nobody's watching the clock. The fiction section doesn't know what day it is. I read 3 spines and found the one I wasn't looking for, which is usually how this works. Bookshop silence on weekdays, the light comes in diagonal like it has a specific errand in the poetry. By 3, the third customer had found the travel section. I moved to biography and we both pretended to be alone, which is the social contract of bookshops on a Tuesday. The shelf between us honored and not mentioned. I bought the book I found that I wasn't looking for, plus one I've been looking for since spring. The clerk rang them up without a recommendation, which I actually appreciated. Bookshop silence on weekdays, nobody's watching the clock. The fiction section doesn't know what day it is. I read 3 spines and found the one I wasn't looking for, which is usually how this works. Bookshop silence on weekdays turned out to be exactly what the week required. The weekend bookshop is a performance of Bookshop. Everyone is demonstrating their literary personality. But Tuesday is what bookshops look like when nobody's watching. The shelves just being shelves, the clerk just being herself. I like the Tuesday version of most things. It looks more like what the thing actually is. Bookshop silence on weekdays, the second customer goes home. I took the slow train home in October of my 23rd year, when I'd been crying on a Tuesday in a way that felt expensive. The express was faster, but the local made a stop at Brentfield, where my grandmother's street had that one specific fence. I pressed my face against the window at the Brentfield station and saw the fence and thought about her hands. Memory has a route that doesn't match the schedule. It makes stops the fast train can't afford. The slow train to memory, Brentfield at 4:29. The window and the fence and the October light, everything my 23rd year tried to keep me from was on that train the whole time, going somewhere. The slow train to memory stopped right where it needed to. My 27th year, I took the same train in November, because I knew that Brentfield would be there. I brought the photograph that I'd been carrying in the wrong wallet and showed it to the window for a minute at the stop. The fence was different, they painted it a lighter shade of nothing, but the street was still exactly the same street. I'm not visiting the past when I take the slow train. I'm checking on the parts of me that stayed. The slow train to memory, Brentfield at 4:29. The window and the fence and the October light, everything my 23rd year tried to keep me from was on that train the whole time, going somewhere. The slow train to memory brought me back a version of myself that still applies. I know people who take the fast train everywhere, and they arrive first, consistently first. But I've watched the towns go by from the slow train, and I can tell you what the fence at Brentfield looks like, and what November does to the particular color of a street where someone taught me to be human. the slow train to memory. Brentfield, grandmother's fence. You figured out my study schedule somehow. You send the good luck text at 7:48 when I start, which is either very sweet or you've been watching, and I can't decide if it matters either way. You don't ask if I'm done, you ask what I'm working on, which is different, and I noticed the love that asks what you're doing instead of when you're done lives at a different address than I thought. Love, but quietly I mean it. The kind that doesn't make me choose between the work and it. Your text sit in a tab, I'll answer after 11. That's its own kind of promise I'm keeping. Love, but quietly staying on the other side of the desk where I can work. You called to ask if I'd eaten, not to talk, which took 9 seconds, and I answered both the call and the question. I found your hoodie on the chair where you'd forgotten it last week. I wore it through the hardest chapter. The love that doesn't know it's being love is the kind I wanna keep the longest. You don't need to fill the room to be in it. I notice you in all the quiet ways. Love, but quietly I mean it. The kind that doesn't make me choose between the work and it. Your text sit in a tab, I'll answer after 11. That's its own kind of promise I'm keeping. Love, but quietly. The hoodie and the 7:48 and the good night. I've had love that needed to be the loudest thing in the room, that asked me to stop writing and start performing love instead. And I've had this one, which leaves the desk lamp on and knows that the desk lamp is its own kind of staying. You figured out something I hadn't said out loud yet, about how I give love back when the work lets me. Love, but quietly. The desk lamp on, the hoodie